sit there, then you can listen to it, and you're ready to go.
If you feel you,
Yeah.
ready to.
Hello and welcome to another edition at Music Up with me, Carl Yeats, and we're in association with On in Barnsley. If you've not noticed what that is, it's an online music magazine that comes out part way through each month. And we're here with Barnsdale Hood, and I know Dave and I know Alan, but I don't know what your name is, sir.
Bob.
Bob. Nice simple name. We had an hamster called Bob.
Did you?
Yeah, he died a couple of weeks ago.
Did Ozzy Osbourne eat it?
No, he died a couple of weeks ago. I think of heat stroke. So we've just listened to some of your tunes of practice. I've got some of your footage anyway of various places where you've been. Give us an idea where you started from and how you came about. Because I know you do talking on this bit, don't you? You remember it better.
I usually do, yes. Well, I'd got back into playing guitar about 6 or 7 years ago, after not touching the guitar since about 1979, I think. And started coming to the New Hope music project where I met Alan. I'd seen Alan before at the Barnsley Folk Club, but we'd never really met as such. So I started coming down here and getting into the sort of Celtic music side of things, and he invited me along to go to the Celtic sessions, and I started getting into that as well. And then one Sunday afternoon I got a phone call from young Mr. Jones here, saying that he was looking for a guitarist to back him during that live in Barnsley, the weekend that they have, or the Saturday they have when there's live music all over Barnsley. Would I back him? And I thought, ooh, but go on, give it a go. So we did a session at the Funky Buddha, as it was in those days, in 2015. It was an interesting first gig, because they kept the piped music on all the time we were playing.
Well, that went well, didn't it?
You were very good at that.
It wasn't a very good gig, but having said that, I felt quite happy with what we'd done.
Yeah.
And so it sort of built up from there, and ever since then we've been Barnsdale Hood and performing in all sorts of places all around the area.
I mean, you don't just do in Barnsley, though, have you? I mean, I've seen you go across to Cleckheaton and all sorts of places, folk festivals such as well, haven't you? So
It's certainly built up over the time, yes, we go lots of different places now, and it's becoming, every year we do a little bit more, don't we? I suppose your name gets around and people know what you're doing, people ask you to come and take, I mean, at the Cleckheaton one we did recently, they asked us to run the session there, so we organised a session for the Saturday evening, and it was, again, very successful.
okay. And I know you do quite a bit of charity gigs as well, haven't you? Because I mean, I'm part of Barry High's group, and you did that for us not so long ago.
That's basically what we are. We've always said that we aren't here to earn a living out of this, we do this for the fun of it. I like to say I'm trying to reclaim the word amateur, not as somebody who doesn't do something very well, but somebody who does very well, but for the love of it.
Yeah.
And that is what we are. As I already mentioned, the New Hope music project, which is established to try and encourage other people to come and learn to play instruments, but of course it takes money. So if we do get any money, we don't take it as a salary, we don't earn it ourselves, but we ask them to give us a donation to the New Hope project, and there's a separate bank account and it goes into there, and that's what it's used for.
So talking about, how did you end up part of these two then?
Right, I've known Alan for years with a past common interest, which was cycle racing, wasn't it, Alan? And he asked me to go down to Barnsley Celtic session, and I said...
Imagining him on a bike.
Oh no, we were very good,
Yeah.
very good. And so he says, come down to Celtic session. And when I saw him after the session, I said, it's okay this session, Alan. These are true words. I said, but it sounds a bit like a cat on a tin roof. There's too much strings.
Yeah.
I said, I think it wants bassing down a bit. So lo and behold, about 2 or 3 days after, there's a knock on my back door, and Alan appears. He says, look what I've got for you, Bob. He said, I've got a Borum. He says, bring it down. And that was my introduction to a Borum. And then so 2 or 3 sessions playing at Barnsley Celtic session, which has gone from strength to strength, all thanks to Alan in a way. He come to me and said, would you like to be a third member of Barnsdale Hood? because his words are really, he says, sometimes he tends to drift away and I tend to keep him in line, you know, with beat and rhythm. And this is how I joined Barnsdale Odd.
Yeah, fantastic. So you just touched on Celtic Sessions, Lee. That's the one that you have down at Old Number 7, isn't it?
Yeah, I started that 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a gamble. I didn't know whether it would work. But I took the gamble, and it's gone from strength to strength. It gets so full now, some musicians at one end can't hear what the other ends are playing, and we tend to
The thing is, though, it kind of suits that venue as well, hasn't it? It's got that kind of wooden floor and your rails and everything. Kind of suits that.
Well, it does suit it, yeah. It works well. And as I said, it's gone from strength to strength. And
So
thanks to running that, I've met these guys, and we've got this little band together.
And they come from all over, don't they, Alan? They come from as far as workshop, everything, surprising people. All four corners they appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you meet with that one then at Celtic Sessions? When is that?
That's on the second Sunday afternoon every month.
Starting?
Without fail, every month.
Yeah. Starting at what time?
We start about 1 o'clock, and it runs through till the last person leaves. I'll keep it going till the last person leaves.
Right.
Which
I'm
is
sorry for with ale.
usually between 5 and 6 o'clock.
Yeah. And you go to another one as well, Dave. Is it Dave?
Dave Nuttall runs two. He runs one in at Fernandez in Wakefield, and the other one at the Polka Hop in Wakefield.
Yeah.
And I just frequent them. I just enjoy going.
Yeah. What did you call your?
Well, it's actually Bodhran. So if you're a good Yorkshireman, that's a Bodhran. But it's a silent D, so it's Boran.
Right, that's the round bit that you've been.
That's it.
And what's the? I'll call that a beatbox though.
No, there again, it's got a silent J entered. It's a K-on. K-A-J-O-N.
And you see more of them around these days and all that, don't you?
Because apparently, I mean, anybody who's a drummer and got a full drum kit, they can't obviously carry the kit everywhere with them. So this is supposed to be able to replicate more or less a full drum kit. So you'll get people out on the streets will take them, you know.
Yeah, I've seen them about.
Yeah.
I've actually witnessed, we went to a session up at the Huntsman, and there's a guy, it was a few years ago now, but he actually turned up with a drum kit. Now, the Huntsman is quite a small pub, and by the time he set his drum kit up, there wasn't much room for the rest of the musicians. But turn up with one of those, and your quid's in. It's no problem.
I quite like the sound of that being part of it, actually. Yeah.
It's ideally, you see, I mean, I do go to a blues session and play a lot of blues on that.
Yeah.
And we feel that that might be better for slower songs than Boran.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my first gig with them was in Annie's bar, weren't it, on Barnsley Live? And that went down okay, didn't it?
Certainly did.
Yeah.
And you've got something to sit on all the time, haven't you? You've always got something to sit down.
Oh, we all sit down to play.
So going to playing, I mean, obviously you're playing folk, but we haven't actually talked about what kind of folk it is.
It's instrumental. We don't do folk songs.
Right, okay.
It's all instrumental. Loosely, I mean, the phrase we tend to use these days is Celtic style.
Right.
It's any sort of folk music from Scotland, Ireland. You get very little from Wales attributed, but England, obviously. But the truth of it is, you can't really pin a lot of these tunes down because there's this circle round, you know. So you'll get a tune in Ireland with a certain name, and you find someone in Scotland says, we play that, and it's called this, and but we play this in England as well with another name. So it does circle round.
Sometimes it's kind of a slight different twist depending where it's being played then as well.
Well, there isn't. Unlike classical music, there isn't a fixed score. There isn't a composer who's written it down and they said, that's it, that's what you play. Here, because it's a folk tradition, people add to it, they take things out of it, they rearrange it, people pick it up, people sometimes mishear it, of course, and they play it, and what they play is the misheard version. So it's quite a fluid sort of music.
And it's more of a people sort of a thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's local dance music, basically. It's for dance. I mean, we're doing it Cayley this afternoon.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we're in the WA Folk Ensemble, which Chris McShane runs.
Yeah.
And we're playing it underneath the Stars Festival this afternoon.
Oh yes, I've seen that come up on my Facebook this morning. I bet that's going to be really... I've never actually been to one of them.
Massive festival, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Just explain a bit about Cayley, because you mentioned something to do with cards and What is it? There was a game that you told me about that gets played at these places.
Oh, heads and tails.
Is that, yeah, that's it,
Tails,
yeah.
that's it,
Explain
yeah.
that to me, because I was quite intrigued with that.
Basically, you get people just to stand in the hall, in the body of the hall. The band plays music. It's a bit like musical chairs,
Yeah, yeah.
essentially, except people stand up all the time. You play music and they dance around, just in the free form, not in a curly form. And then the band stops dead. And at that point, the people had to either put their hands on their heads or on the backsides, those heads and tails.
Yeah.
A coin is tossed, it's pre-arranged. If it comes down heads, of course, they stay on. If it comes down tails, the tails stay on. Or the others go and sit down, and so it whittles it down until you've got one person left standing.
And they can have a pint of beer.
It depends. I mean, what you normally do, everybody chucks a quid in,
Yeah.
and it's usually a charity thing. So half of the money raised goes to the charity, and the other half goes to the person left standing.
Thank you for letting me come down. Like I say, this will be going on my page, which is Tuck Music Up Media, but it will be going in Barnsdales Music Magazine, and that's out halfway through each month. And hope you enjoy when you see it and read it and watch it.
Thank you very much.